Welcome to Duality Check, the podcast where two brothers embark on a journey through the realms of scientific inquiry, the mysteries of the past, and the uncharted frontiers of spirituality. Join us as we explore the wonders of our world and beyond, all while embracing the roles of curious bystanders rather than experts. Together, we'll unravel the tapestry of existence, blending the dichotomy of knowledge and wonder. Get ready to question, ponder, and delve into the dualities that shape our understanding of reality. On Duality Check, I'm Drew.
I'm Dean, and welcome to episode number 99.
99, we're about to break a big episode 100.
Yeah, about to crack those 3 digits.
We got something special planned for 100.
Yeah, it's going to be, do we tell them or keep it a secret?
I don't know. Let's just keep it a secret for now.
All right, cool.
Might as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's not huge, but
and if you're watching this in the future, it won't be a secret, probably.
Right.
So,
cool. So, what you been up to this week? Anything
busy with the
coming
kids?
To your head in all these?
Well, just in general with the world. I'm just taking in all of the. I mean, there's been a lot of talks about how this war is being framed in some certain circles as a spiritual, like end times beginning war.
There's a certain
not a lot of, but there's certain groups that are
certain fundamental Christian groups and whatnot, and even people within government,
mostly fundamentalists, even around the world.
Right.
If there's reports of him having the same feeling, which is interesting. Like we talked about last week.
Dangerous, I think.
It's dangerous, but also it kind of aligns with like Chris Bledsoe's stuff too. Like,
sure,
there are certain people that are going to think it's the end times, and then there's other people that are going to think it's just a new beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Knowledge changes, the frequency of the universe changes, so that allows for new, things to happen. Potentially. There's different ways to look at it, but I feel like they're all kind of pointed at this something of great magnitude happening within this year, it seems, is
right
in a lot of different ways. So just been hearing some of that, which can be dangerous.
Yeah.
Especially when you talk about world wars and stuff.
Well, when you're talking about
fighting
war,
war.
And you're talking about people wanting the war to happen for religious reasons, that's where I think it's dangerous because
absolutely
they're motivated to keep death and destruction going to fulfill some sort of...
And it's justified in their mind because of the gravity of having it be for religious means.
Right. So if it brings about the end of the world to them, that's all the better because that means Jesus is going to come back and save them.
Right. Or the aliens.
Right. Whatever they think.
I mean, yeah.
Jesus is. But
yeah, it's definitely a time to pay attention to what's going on in the world. Mm-hmm. Just so that you have you don't have to obsess over it, but
yeah,
not a healthy thing to obsess over, but I would also keep
and we're only a week into it at the time we're recording, but this is going to be out. Since we're releasing every 2 weeks, it's going to be almost a month later. So there could be some pretty major developments by the time this releases, but it's pretty interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, what about you? What have you been consuming this week? What have you been thinking about?
I just had a bunch of installs this week. Nighttime ones from home. And
haven't been able to use your computer for your own means during this then?
Yeah, I haven't been. During those, I can't really just listen to stuff because I need my mind focused.
Yeah.
But
it's nice you can do it from home though.
Yeah, it's cool, but it's kind of kept me up late because I have to wait for the stores to close while I run their upgrades and then still wake up in the morning and get to work. So been a little underslept this week until this morning. I finally got to sleep in, which is nice.
And then today is the night before daylight savings.
Right.
So we're going to lose an hour of sleep. We're going to go from 2 a.m. to 3 a.m.
Yeah.
tomorrow morning.
Yeah. Look forward to that, y'all.
Which is never a good thing when you're a parent. You understand.
Yeah.
Too. Like,
we
it
just
messes up kids' sleep cycles, and it's just we need to vote this out.
It's such an archaic thing.
It is.
It doesn't actually help anything. There's no reason you can't just, if you need to get up earlier, you know?
Especially, it was originally having to do with farming and being able to change the time with the seasons so that you could be up for maximal amount of time with the sun. But
even then, it's stupid because you can still just adjust your sleep cycle to the solar cycle and
just wake up when the sun comes up and go to sleep when the sun goes down.
Right. And so whatever time of day that it is doesn't really matter.
Yeah, no. And it was a horrible decision then, and it's a horrible decision to continue it now because it's not something useful.
There was a lunar eclipse this week.
Oh, really? No,
yeah,
I didn't.
It was like a big blood moon. It was like 3 a.m.
Oh, really?
On, I think Monday night. Oh, and I did a 3-day water fast this week.
During the blood moon?
So my buddy and I, G-Man, we've got this agreement to do a fast every full moon.
Okay. So it was a blood full moon?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was a full moon and a full lunar eclipse. So,
lunar eclipse. I thought you said it was a blood moon.
Well, yeah, so it looks red with the Earth shadow on it.
Okay. So we were eclipsing the moon from the sun.
Correct.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Which makes it look super deep.
Right.
Which is cool with the full moon.
Yeah. That is cool. I wish I would have seen it. It was at 3 a.m. though.
Yeah. It was like 3 to 4 a.m. So.
Yeah, you got to get on a better schedule there, moon.
But yeah, I did
artificial.
Another 3-day water fast. I lost like 5 pounds in 3 days, which is great.
Feel good after?
I think I'm down like 30 for the year, which is cool.
Oh, yeah. And the year just began.
Yeah. Then I had to go get fitted up for tuxedos for John's wedding. And
you had to tell him that you're going to be back for adjustments.
I've lost 30 pounds since the beginning of the year, and I think that trend's going to continue. And he's like, well, here's what you do. Just come back closer to the wedding and we'll resize you up. And I was like, okay. But hopefully that works out and I'm not stuck with what I had, or otherwise I'll be wearing some baggy clothes.
Yeah. Skin and bones.
Yeah. And there's no like belt loops on those pants either. So
that's true. Yeah.
I'll be rocking some suspenders.
Under the tux.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we are kind of going to continue from what we were doing last week. And
we had a whole bunch of tweets and we had a whole bunch of YouTube clips, and we only got through about half of it last week. So
yeah, it's going to be kind of current events / the things we thought were cool.
Yeah. So more on the UFO topic and some stuff on pyramids. And if we have even more time, I've got those videos I promised a couple weeks back that we never got to.
Oh, yeah.
About human waste turning into stones and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
just adjusting this real quick.
I literally just saw this as I was prepping for the show. It's this one you want to do if it's been dropping.
Yeah.
So I literally just saw this. Jesse Michels post this today. Just a couple hours ago. Looks like he's got Eric Davis and Eric Weinstein having a conversation together.
Wow.
Which is super cool. So
I saw clips of this. Yeah, I didn't know it was that.
This is a teaser. The episode drops tomorrow.
Let's watch it.
Let's check this out. I have no idea. But the description says something about black holes. So,
Richard Davis, you should push back if you think traversable wormholes that biological material can go through is a real feasible thing.
You mean biological materials going through a wormhole?
Yeah.
I don't see anything that prevents it.
Okay.
So you're going to create a wormhole on demand to get where you need to go?
you should be able to. That's what my research showed. There's nothing that I would think that could stop you other than that G over C to the fourth power issue. That really gets inverted when you put it over to the curvature side of the equation.
All right.
Then the properties of the matter, it's going to be C to the fourth over G. So it's going to be a gigantic number multiplying the curvature of space-time that matter source creates.
So walk me through, how do I get to Alpha Centauri by engineering a traversable wormhole?
Well, you're going to create the mouth or the throat. Well, that's a good point, because even Kip Thorne couldn't describe it. But the best idea is, and this is Thorne's idea, not mine, and I don't endorse it. You create a mouth right at your departure point in space, and you're going to need another spaceship to carry the throat to the destination point. And that's what Kip Thorne came up with. I'm thinking when you're creating the throat, that's where all the physics occurs anyway. It's not at the mouth, the exit entrance mouth, it's in the throat. So when you're creating that throat, that should automatically do the connection, the hyperspace tunnel connection between two distant points, Earth and Sirius, or our star Sol and Sirius as examples, or Earth and Alpha Centauri, one of the planets over there. I just know that it does not give you recipe for navigating, for being able to target your destination. There are no navigational control laws built into general relativity. All you could do is build the wormhole, and you could do the studies of a geodesic that goes through it, representing either a photon or a piece of matter, and you can represent that. It's going to come out the other side. But how you aim it and navigate to another star using it, that's not in general relativity. You can't pull that out. You can't pull that information out unless there's more work that needs to be done that nobody has thought of doing.
So you just have to send someone brave in there to try it. This is interesting. This is
the idea of sending a ship to carry the throat, as he called it.
Will take generations.
Well, yeah, and it would also, so you would send like an AI ship that knows how to navigate, or that can navigate to it, and then you just basically attach the endpoint. If you have the ability to start the one end, you'd have to start the other end, and then basically pull. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in theory,
clearly I'm not a physicist, so this is,
sure, but I mean, in theory, you should be able to test it on a smaller scale before you actually try and traverse.
Of course, yeah.
So, like, we might test it between Earth and the Moon, or Earth and Mars.
I wonder if there's a like a limit to how far you have to have it, or if it can be like
a reason
locally.
why there would need to be. The other question is,
why not just do one side of the Earth to the other side of the Earth?
Yeah. What are the implications of the effects on the surrounding space-time? Like, does it create some sort of vacuum where matter
You're actually
will be
affected by it,
sucking from one side of the wormhole to the other, where you create some sort of weird negative pressure that can affect where the wormhole is nearby too?
It would almost have to, no? Like, you're basically opening a black hole.
You'll at least have different solar wind environments, and those different environments would represent probably different pressures, and those different pressures you would think, cause a flow.
So that means,
and there could be negative implications to that.
Right. I mean, you could destroy your universe or your solar system.
Right. But in theory, I don't see why you couldn't build a smaller version and send like
an atom or a photon or
an apple, or
Yeah. They would probably
just to see if the biological matter.
You probably want to start on like a
small
proton
creatures.
Or
Yeah, sure.
like one side of the lab to the other side of the lab with a photon.
I wonder. I'm really excited to see this episode now, because I wonder if
that is being done.
Right. I mean, still,
it seems like
you would need,
Eric is skeptical.
No, it seems like, which Eric? They're both Eric.
Well, Weinstein was skeptical of his idea.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to hear how he pushes back and how they both kind of dance around that, because
they both have really interesting ideas, though. So I'm really excited to see them to talk to each other.
And this is out, or is it coming out soon?
Tomorrow. Yeah. Sunday the 8th. So that'll be in the past for you guys, but we'll drop a link if you haven't seen it.
Yeah.
The other interesting thing is this is a similar idea. Did you ever play the game Subnautica?
No, but we've talked about it before. I haven't played it myself.
So it's this sci-fi story about you crash landing on an alien ocean planet and having to survive. But as you go through and you pick up details about what's going on in the world and what the mission was and everything, you find out that essentially the human species at that time was expanding into space, and there's this big corporation called Altera that is going around setting up these wormholes. And it's through that technique where you set up the mouth and then you have to send a ship. And so the mission that the ship was on was to set up a gate for the other end of a wormhole so that they could use it to travel to that sector of space easily and quickly.
So why not? Okay.
So anyway, I thought that was interesting.
I'm just curious if it wouldn't necessarily... you could travel at any speed, I would imagine, to get to the destination.
Yeah, well, you're traveling through bent space-time that is a shortcut. So
but the ship
you're
itself
technically traveling faster than the speed of light through, if you, from the perspective of someone outside of the wormhole, but you're still traveling through space in the wormhole. So yeah, you could travel.
Well, I'm just thinking of the ship that's carrying it to the destination. Is the ship in the wormhole?
No.
Trying to navigate in the wormhole to get to a certain place, or is it physically dragging the other end to some point in space?
It's going to construct it on the other side, basically.
So it's going to get there and then construct the end point.
Yeah.
So that those 2 points are now linked. So that first ship is taking the long voyage.
Right. So someone has to take the long voyage to build the gate so that they can then take that back. And now all of a sudden you can ship goods.
Yeah.
And it's an easy trip.
So you theoretically send one ship, say we sent one now.
Mm-hmm.
And then depending on how far we're going and how long it takes, at that point they set it up, construct it, points are connected. It goes through the wormhole back to where it came from,
right?
Which is now years and decades later, potentially,
right?
So it is in turns time traveling, and you would have to send generations of. You might have to send like a couple of generations of like couple of families to go do the mission,
right?
To make sure that they know how to do the work by the time,
right?
And how far you're going, right? Ultimately, and that matters the most.
Like Mars takes 6 months to get to, they said, something like that.
Anything within our solar system is going to be not, but interstellar is what I'm thinking. Like once you have to go interstellar, if you could even do it, first of all,
right?
We don't even truly know that we can go interstellar.
I mean, unless you have UFO tech.
Exactly. Well, this is interesting. I'm glad you showed that one. I'm going to have to listen to that whole podcast for sure.
So last week we were talking a lot about this whole Chris Bledsoe and the lady predictions and the start of this war with Iran and how it's all interconnected. I started bringing up some that Ryan Bledsoe had been pretty actively tweeting. And there was one I brought up where he asked Grok a question and I couldn't read it. So I'm logged in now so we can actually read the response from Grok.
Grok.
Sorry about that. Cool. Let's check that out. So he says here, hey Grok, can you find everything ever said about the lady by only members of the Bledsoe family and synthesize it into a concise transcript and summarize her provided cosmology and prophecy? So Grok says, based on public statements from Chris and Ryan Bledsoe, primary family sources found, synthesized transcript from Chris. The lady showed me a crossroads in 2012. The real lady does not represent an occult queen. It's the same lady as Fatima. When Regulus turns red on the horizon, that would mark the shift. Ryan, the lady told my father in 2012 the darkness would be exposed and destroyed, and the age of Aquarius will come bringing new knowledge. There will be a great deception perpetrated by the dark force that worships Satan and to convince the world there is no God and that the phenomena is aliens/evil monsters. They will not win. Light is coming. She is the lady of all peoples. Cosmology summary. The lady is a divine feminine entity akin to the Holy Spirit or Hathor, part of a spiritual trinity with Christ, representing light, guidance, and higher consciousness against dark forces. Prophecy summary. Darkness and elite deceptions will be exposed. A great deception will portray the phenomena as evil aliens to deny God and trap souls. A new age of knowledge and light will prevail around celestial alignments, e.g. 2026. So,
okay, that's cool. Like nice and concise on each of those.
yeah.
I find it interesting how different Ryan's telling is to his father's, because his dad doesn't really go too much into the religious
Yeah, well,
side of it.
Ryan has studied psychology and he's also studied the occult. One of the things that's interesting, I've been listening to more of Ryan's podcast, and apparently he and his father have been involved over at the Monroe Institute and have been learning how to use their technique for out-of-body experiences and whatnot.
Really?
Yeah. And so they sort of value that method. Anyway, I thought that was interesting. He also said there will be many who shout hologram on that day when the beings of light enter our skies. The multi-generational psyop has been to convince you to be afraid and to not look up and connect with God and angels when they inevitably come. Remote viewers, Project Looking Glass, etc., they have known for many years what is coming. Spiritual awakening that even the powers that be cannot contain. They want your soul to be so violated and broken that you fear God. The only thing that can save you from them, have hope and be free of thought. Light is coming. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean,
I find it weird to frame things this way.
yeah. I don't like the heavy emphasis on the specific religious. Yeah, I don't like the specific heavy emphasis on the like religious side of things. But I'm not against it either. It's just that I don't know. It seems like if you don't do this, you're gonna be forsaken, or you're not gonna be like. I don't know.
I find it weird. Well, the thing is like it seems like it's portraying aliens as portraying whoever these entities are, right? though, that the phenomenon represents, or at least a part of the phenomena, as God's angels is very heavy-handed, and you either just have to take everything Chris Bledsoe and certain others have said at absolute faith and just believe them that that's what that represents.
Right.
Or you have to have an experience yourself.
I think it needs to be an individual. People need to have their own individual experience with what it is that's happening. Because I find spirituality to be an individual thing. I find that I connect more to the different aspects of it when I interpret it on my own and am not told the interpretations.
Right.
And I think the same goes for this. Like, I think, each person should have their own individual experience with it when it happens. And we shouldn't necessarily be listening to any one person about how it's going to happen or what you're going to expect.
Well, we should listen to them, but we shouldn't.
Well, I mean, like, we shouldn't just blindly follow anybody who's just saying what they think is fact when they're speaking about it as if they know.
Yeah.
When I don't know that
the voice of Diana Pasulka is like screaming in my mind, and she's saying, this is the start of a new religion. I've been saying this, right?
Yeah.
And this sounds that way to me. Which is fine. Like, religion in and of itself isn't necessarily negative just for existing. It's the particulars of how it has gone about and how the institutions have tried to control people that has caused the issues, right?
Yeah.
But it is a sort of leap when there are also people who have had less positive experiences with the phenomena. And I don't know. I'm just not super into the whole black and white thinking, and to think whether you think it's, they're evil or, they're God's angels. Those are very far extremes.
Yeah. I think whatever it might be is going to be, and it's going to look and feel a lot more like us. If it's another existence, I feel like we're going to, and what I mean is not physically or mentally necessarily, but I feel like the structures and the power dynamic, like, you're giving it power over you immediately if you're just like labeling it.
Yeah.
Well,
and the other thing this brings up is people like Jason Giorgiani and like David Icke and people whose interpretation of this phenomena. Who was the other one? What was the other one we talked about with the alien interview? Not the interview with the Reptilian, where it was talking about like this planet is basically a prison planet.
Right.
And that it's a trap for our consciousness to like force us to continue to reincarnate and do whatever it is we're being harvested for or jailed for or whatever, right?
Yeah, you live out your sentence on the earth because if there is reincarnation.
Yeah, and in that sort of camp and school of thought, the whole idea of like when you die, going to the light, like that's the trap right there that like keeps you in the cycle where you can't. Anyways, similarly, like it just was one of like that. Those ideas was one of the first times that got me thinking, I've heard plenty of people talk about their near-death experiences and the love and the peace and the light, and then it's just interesting to step back and question,
is it all good?
Yeah, like maybe it's so good because it's like a carrot on a stick, right?
Yeah, there's the duality in it. There's the bad part and good part.
You're being led down a primrose path.
Yeah.
Based on like those feelings, but
yeah, I mean, and there's no real say on what it is that we're going to experience. It could just be a telepathic, entity that lives in the ether, that is interacting in what we're seeing in the physical nature of these things. Maybe some 4-dimensional slippage, like where we see a 3-dimensional object, but it's really operating on a 4-dimensional, physics.
Yeah. Well, and
higher
the thing is
dimensional.
like we have to have some time to process. Like, so we've got like geopolitics, right? So if you expand it into space, spatial politics, like we have to
astropolitics.
It's very complicated thing to comprehend the totality and nuances of geopolitics on Earth, much less start to wrap your mind around galactic/universal
dimensional.
Yeah. What are the parties involved? What are their interests? Who are we to them?
What's the motives behind actions and
it's not necessarily wise to just have someone show up and they look beautiful and they make you feel good and they claim to be God's angels. It's not necessarily wise to just believe them and do whatever they say, because you could be setting yourself up for some sort of trap.
Yeah.
And who do they represent? Do they represent what some religions in the past would have called like the Olympians? Because those gods aren't very cool.
Yeah.
From a human perspective, they don't give a shit about us.
Yeah.
Or do they represent more of like the Prometheus figures, the ones who are like, nah, like I'm going to help out more humanity benevolent. And give them the tools they need because you gods don't give a shit about them. Like, what's going on here? What are the complexities? Just because someone shows up and claims to be something and is amazing with technology and
or abilities or whatever they may be able to do.
It's that's part of the reason I think also the danger with like disclosure. Yeah. Right.
Well, that makes me that aspect and that understanding that it could just as easily go down that path. It makes sense why the secrecy, but I do think technologically, we are much different than we were 100 years ago as humans, and our understanding of the universe and our ability to adapt is different. And I think if there was I don't know about catastrophic disclosure, but like much more than what we're getting now, if we had like, it's real, here's proof.
Yeah.
Here's the images. We can't tell you what we already have for fear that we will just bring about the destruction by admitting how far advanced we can become. But then you have, at some point, you got to admit to yourself that you have to go that path where you have the technology. If you have the ability to use it, at some point you're going to have to use it.
Yeah.
Just for our own sake, humanity's sake.
Right.
Whether it be for the energy or be to defend ourselves, be it not a benevolent, presence.
The other thought I have with this all approaching, supposedly, is that if what we're talking about here is orbs of light and UFOs and grays and glowing women who can appear as bulls that kind of resemble Egyptian deities and whatnot, that's all pretty oversimplified, because what explains the vortex kaleidoscopic world of a breakthrough DMT experience and all the machine elves constructing reality, an ever-shifting reality, and like where does that fit in? Where do all the complexities of the underlying nature of existence fit in? When I don't know, like it's going to take more than showing up in a UFO and mastering space travel to make a legitimate claim that you represent God.
No, that's a good point. Yeah. Yeah, just because you see something more advanced than maybe you are doesn't necessarily mean they're the end point. It almost means the opposite. Like your knee jerk might be like, oh, that's the epitome. But no, like just like we aren't the epitome like we thought we were.
It sort of reminds me of the Spaniards coming to the Americas, right? And how their arrival sort of interacted with local prophecies in such a way that they may have been given a little more
grace,
tolerance by the locals than they should have.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting. Like, is it just they're showing up knowing all of our spiritual history and our psychological baggage, and they found a way to
manipulate us,
take advantage of those things that we already have set up that they can just sort of plug into and take advantage of? Yeah.
Yeah, basically just maintain the status quo, but be, whether it's overt or secretive, and that's where like the idea of the reptilians and the mind control, and like if they're here and they've been here for decades, do we even know that they're not already running things?
Right.
If they have the ability to appear and unappear and show themselves to certain people at any given time, like you got all these different stories.
Maybe they set certain systems in motion and they're coming back. Almost planting some crops and then like coming back at the end of the season, letting nature do its work and the laws of physics. If they have a certain understanding of sociology and biology and psychology.
If they've been doing it for decades or millennia, then they would. Right?
Maybe they're coming back to reap a crop or something. I don't know. But I think we're ready for our first break.
All right.
Fun topic.
Yeah. All right, y'all. We'll see you in a minute. Enjoy some music.
Forever born. Hey. Check. They say time is irrelevant when you're dedicated to what you love. I'm anxious, so what's to come if I victim the pressures of dreaming of your love supreme. Sometimes I wonder if we can stay together like Al Green. How sweet it is, it was all a dream. Just a week ago, I do this for my younger brothers, just so they can see me blow. We're all one and the same. When you're in pain, I can feel it, bruh. Anything is possible, you just gotta believe me. So spill my soul and speak it slow. I gotta let the people know, remain true to the blue skies while I'm here below the heavens. Leave a legacy like legends came before. Fulfill what I've been destined for with a dick for soul in record stores. Catch me playing Tekken 4 with my dogs, Reservoir. One man wrecking force till I enter heaven's doors. Make sure that they remember me forevermore, but nevermore. Cause when I'm gone, my legacy lives on. I'm forever born. Forever born. Ha ha, forever born. Yeah. Cause when I'm gone, my legacy lives on. I'm forever born. They say no one ever really dies. Do you believe? Reminiscing about the times when it was just you and I. Funny how the time flies and it's only the beginning. No one ever really dies. Whether or not you believe it, the time it's always now. I don't plan to waste a minute. They say time can heal anything eventually. So when I live past the song, will you remember me? I wonder, could you remember me? I guess for now, let's bring it back. Hey. Forever born. Forever born. When I'm gone, my legacy lives on. I'm forever born. Yeah.
Living through the words written and the lyrics I've been spitting. The treasure is hidden, but it shines inside the mind I've given. All of the knowledge I can impart in my lifetime. Imprisoned by unhealthy cells, but soul food will fight crime. You better recognize life is right behind your eyes. Thoughts form reality, so whatever you visualize, long enough and strong enough, eventually will manifest. I caught a vibe and let it swell up like an abscess. Mass stress kept a brother stuck on past tests. Looking back, I wanna relive the good and forget the rest. Of the people that trespassed, they left class a little too early to learn a lesson. The the audacity to passively project aggression over not like one direction. I'm a multi-dimensional entity, so my progression's hard to follow. All the hollow perpetrators gotta wallow inside of the inimical energy they tend to borrow. See, the legacy never dies. My enterprise built upon honor and honesty I personify. Why lie? I do not believe I will die. The natural path of our essence, infinite the why. It's sometimes harder to figure out than the how. The fear of the future, it must succumb to the now. Everything I thought it was dissolved in the presence of love. Heaven is inside of you, no need to look above.
Forever born, forever born. Yeah, 'cause when I'm gone my legacy lives on. I'm forever born, forever born, forever born. Yeah, 'cause when I'm gone my legacy lives on. I'm forever born.
Hey.
Welcome back.
All right.
I love that song.
That was good.
Rasar, rest in peace.
Oh, no. Great rapper.
Yeah.
Local guy, too.
Yeah. And he's forever born.
Yep.
Cool. So yeah, let's go back to some of these tweets. This is another Paulina Luna tweet where she tweeted this picture of a wormhole. That's it. No context. Which is
which, if you're not familiar, she's been one of the leading voices in Congress that's part of the task force.
And she's been leaving a bunch of like cryptic clues and hints.
Yeah.
And
she's the one that has read the Book of Enoch, and she's like,
yeah, she's telling people to. And
yeah.
Anyway, I thought that was interesting in context.
And then this guy, Dan Warren, says, all things considered, this is an insane post.
Yeah.
Cool.
UAP Juan says, aliens are real, but don't take the president's word for it, or mine. Do yourself a favor and search for the 1994 Ariel School encounter. They've been watching us.
The noise.
What noise?
The noise that we heard in the air.
You heard a noise in the
Yes.
air? What was it like? Like a roar or a buzz or a hum or what kind of a noise?
It was like someone was blowing a flute. It was scary myself.
It was scary because you saw something yourself?
Yes. I saw a little object hovering. It was quite big actually, and then there was little ones all around it. We saw something silver, and then we quickly ran to the logs, and we saw a silver thing, and we saw a man standing next to it.
What did it feel like when he was looking at you?
I felt scared.
It felt scared? What was scary about it?
Well, I felt scared because I've never seen such a person like that before.
Did you see the eyes? What did they look like?
They were going like that.
Where was the pointy part? Was the pointy part in here or was the pointy part out there? Up there. And what was the feeling when you looked at the eyes?
It was scary.
And what scary? Why? What made it scary?
The eyes looked evil.
Evil. And what was evil about them? Say what you mean by evil.
It looked evil because it was just staring at me.
With what? Staring at you as if what? As if to do what?
As if it wanted to come and take us.
As if it wanted to come and take you. That was the feeling you got? That it wanted you to go with it? Did you feel like you wanted to go with it? No. Did you feel, what was the effect on you when you felt it wanted to have you go with it?
I just walked away and I started crying.
Yeah, I have a hard time with the kids' testimony, and not the kids themselves, but the interviewer, because he kind of is leading them on a bit, and he's kind of putting words in their mouth a bit. And with kids, it's kind of what you have to do to get much out of them. But
that was John Mack interviewing him.
No, I know.
I didn't find those questions leading.
I
think
like
he was trying to get them to.
But that's the problem.
To expound on what they felt. Like,
right.
Trying to reword the question in a way that would invite for them to elaborate.
Yeah, I mean, I think there was. It's not something that's like intentional necessarily. I don't think there's anything intentional about it, but I think it's something that happens when an adult speaks to a child because there's a difference in understanding of how words work.
Right.
And to use certain type of language, and
like
a lot of times the kids won't even know.
You mean because he was saying things like evil? How what did he want to do or
that
type
kind
thing?
Of stuff.
Yeah, like that attributes intent,
and shows that that's what they're looking for you to say. And kids, a lot of times, their imaginations will override their critical thinking.
Right.
And so they'll go along with the story being presented to them.
I see what you mean. Yeah.
That's the only thing I have a problem with. But other than that, I think the fact that they're all doing this and there is surrounding the case, there is like the adults that also say something weird happened.
Yeah.
I think the stuff surrounding it is better evidence to me than just
the fact that so many of the children saw it.
They saw something. I wouldn't necessarily take their description of the events that happened.
Yeah, but if you kind of take an average of what they all say as a general idea of what happened.
They saw something strange, unfamiliar.
Something landed in that field.
Yeah.
Some sort of entity got out. Who knows what it was.
Yeah.
Even if it was some human in a suit, right?
Right, exactly. Still strange for that time frame, right?
But they did see, they did sort of, a bunch of the kids testified that they got a sort of telepathic communication and they got similar messages that a lot of experiencers do, which is about how we're treating the planet and whatnot.
Yeah, which I think is something that would be said, all right?
Sure.
I think it would make most sense if I guess objectively it's a good message, like treat your planet better.
Sure.
But I think it would make most sense if it was like a crypto-terrestrial type of because then the planet is shared with them.
Human type thing.
Or even just a terrestrial, like a subterranean species.
Right, like a underground or an underwater or
that
because it directly affects them. Yeah. So this is by Missile Man. He says, I've said this before and I'll say it again. The biggest ontological shock won't come to the 90 IQ everyman. It's going to be to the STEM and NatSec intelligentsia. If I'm in a room with 30 DoD technical professionals with master's degrees on average and none of them work IT or work it or are complicit, and I use my best arguments and best data to sway them, the breakdown is 20 think it's fake, highly skeptical, 5 to 10 which think I'm crazy or retarded, 5 are open-minded but likely most of it is misunderstood tech, 3 are better than 50% sure a non-zero amount of it is genuinely anomalous. 2 are on board with the NHI hypothesis, but don't want any of the others to know. The technical authorities have no respect for the common man's judgment or cognitive faculties. They think you're total morons and nut jobs. They're just careful about who they say it around. When you have spent 20 years studying the way that lunar regolith is lifted up by chemical rocket plumes, because human spaceflight has to worry quite a bit about things like corrosion, aging, fracture, etc., you're necessarily made hostile to the notion that some 19-year-old airman surviving on ripped fuel camels and strippers, what is that? Who reports to the 9th floor underneath right pat has seen and touched a craft that obsolesces your entire career and every problem you've ever worked on, every achievement you've been celebrated for. The notion that you have been thinking in the wrong paradigm and the wrong framework since you got out of diapers is totally unthinkable. They will fight this harder than anyone. They will have an extremely difficult time adapting.
So he's talking about so he's basically saying that the high IQ people will have a much harder time accepting the fact
academia and
that something is actually happening.
Right.
Which makes sense.
Totally.
Yeah.
Like I would still expect like the Neil deGrasse Tysons of the world
to hold on firm until the very end.
Yeah.
To the standard scientific
I already hear the argument. Government decree is not scientific evidence.
Yeah, I think we've heard that recently, haven't we?
Yeah. Well, I don't know, but
I'm pretty sure I read somebody said something basically to the same effect.
Yeah. All right. So this is the other thing I sort of promised you last week.
This is the picture of the building that is potentially housing the downed craft.
Yes. So This is that UFO podcast posting. He says, "Is this the one?" The photo for those just listening, well, you should be able to see it on our podcast player, and it'll be linked.
Yeah, or come watch it on YouTube.
So yeah, it's a picture of a round building in Seoul, South Korea. It says secret site. A U.S. congressman has claimed that a classified facility housing a UFO is hiding in plain sight. So yeah, they're asking if this is the one. It's an interesting building for sure. I don't know what it is.
A top-down view of a water tank. Massive though. It is massive.
It is
to the
massive.
Other buildings
It
and
is
roads.
massive compared to the right.
Interesting. Because who was it that said that there is a building? Who was it? Was it Ross Coulthart, I think?
Yeah, it was Ross.
Yeah. He's the one who was in his interview with Jesse, right? Or was it Jesse?
He did a recent episode on Area 52.
That's the one I'm thinking of.
Dave Ramsey.
Yeah.
Chris Ramsey, yeah. Dave Ramsey, totally different person. Red Panda Koala. So remember, this is me sort of sampling UFO Twitter in the aftermath of Trump's saying.
Right.
He says a few years ago, Dave Navarro posted this after hanging out with Knapp and Corbell. So here's this post with George Knapp, Dave Navarro.
You can read it up there. Yeah, we talked about some.
Yeah. We talked about some things tonight that I'd love to share, but I'm afraid it's classified. Still classified. All I can say is you may not want to make any plans on March 3rd of 2026. Yeah, that date has passed.
But
well,
it says,
you won't actually have a choice. Yeah. What does he know?
And again, these dates and times, like,
yeah, when you make a specific to the day sort of prediction, it's very apt to change. Like,
yeah,
plans change. the world is complicated, you know.
Mm-hmm.
All right, this is sort of a sample of the other side of things, okay? So this person says, aliens are demonic. I wasn't raised in the church. I wasn't a believer in Jesus Christ until I was a man. I am new in my walk with God. I was a conspiracy theorist. Since 16 years old, I've been down the rabbit hole chasing answers to things the average person ridiculed. UFOs, HARP, MK Ultra, JFK, you name it, and I've looked into it. I thought Christianity, like any other religion, was a control mechanism and an allegory for something ancient, possibly the stars. I thought it may hold some secrets, and maybe Christ was an avatar of sorts, an ascended master, or a state of enlightenment. Mostly, I thought Christianity was cringy and gay. The belief systems claimed their God was the true God. Christians were no different. Or all belief systems claim their God is the true God. Christians are no different. I suspected that the Galactic Federation of Light was more likely to be true than the literal coming of God in the flesh, who died for our sins, defeated death, and became a way to salvation. I never stopped pursuing the truth, and that pursuit led me to a realization that Christ is real, God born into the world, a Jew from the line of David who died so we might have eternal life. How fucking crazy is that? Now that we're at the edge of disclosure, the truth is more important than ever. The alien phenomena is simple and complicated at the same time. First, let's tackle the complicated aspect. There are physical crafts, beings, and people are abducted. Much of this can be attributed to clandestine operations by intelligence operatives like MK Ultra. The backbone of this research is trauma-induced dissociation. This practice gives way to psychic abilities, mind control, demonic possession, etc., and taught by demonic entities. Communication with these entities has been achieved by drug use, ritual, channeling, and ultimately frequency-based technologies. Many abductees report their experiences taking place in a different realm. They'll use words like astral realm, spirit realm, or demonic realm. Keep in mind, I'm using the term demonic as shorthand for in opposition to the kingdom of God and humanity. A fascinating coincidence is that alien encounters can often be stopped by calling on Jesus Christ. This doesn't always work, but then again, the name of Jesus doesn't always stop demonic encounters either. In my opinion, the quote UFO aspect of the phenomena is a mixture of intelligent plasma and physical tech. Likely a continuation of the same research that gave way to the bell-shaped craft the Nazis had. Likely a direct line to the Vimanas of the Vedic. And we got it through Operation Paperclip. This tech was introduced to the Vedics by their gods, aka fallen angels, and resurrected by Himmler by way of channeling, either by drug use, ritual, frequency-based tech, or all the above. The aliens also seem to be obsessed with genetics to the extent that they've been creating a hybrid race between us and them, mirroring the Nephilim or demigods of antiquity. The alien phenomena has been a generational deception, a multi-pronged psychology operation. It's made up of Hollywood propaganda, a Nazi-pioneered space program, ritual sacrifice, trauma-based dissociative research, occult practices by the likes of L. Ron Hubbard, Jack Parsons, Aleister Crowley, but most importantly, it's been pushed by entities that don't exist in the physical realm. Aliens are many things, but it can be made simple. Aliens are demonic. They are against the kingdom of God and humanity. they are a great deception.
Yeah, I mean, he's tying in a bunch of different faith-based outlooks on it.
Yeah.
But it sounds like at least he has good knowledge of the types of...
Yeah, I believe him that he spent a lot of time in the different conspiracy rabbit holes.
Both of the camps, basically.
So on the one hand, the Ryan Bledsoe quotes we read earlier was like, no, it's all light. And then on this hand...
no, he was saying that this idea that they're aliens was...
Right.
Was that there...
Is the deception.
Yeah.
Because they're actually angels.
Yeah. Or they're... And what he's saying is they're actually demons.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So this is like the opposite end of the spectrum as far as like the black and white mystical reading into UFOs. I find it hard to believe that it's either all black or all white, though.
Yeah, well, and that's what I was kind of alluding to earlier when I was saying, like, the dynamic of it is, like, I think they have more spectrum like we have. Like, that's how, like, to their personalities, like, unless they're, like, some, like, android-type species where there's one mind controlling all of them and they don't all have individual... autonomy.
Right. Like imagine dropping down into human society and getting just a tiny snapshot
of what it is to be human.
And then going back and making a pronouncement on whether humanity is good or evil. Right.
Yeah.
It would absolutely depend on where you came down.
Who you spoke to.
If you come down in Iran right now, if you came down in Europe in the 40s, if you came down
in Roswell.
Right. But there's other times where you can come down and like there's just families being lovely to each other or people coming together as a community, people helping each other selflessly. So what snapshot are you taking? It's a crazy question to say, is humanity good or evil, right? Because there are people who act good and there are people who act evil. And it's even a hard thing to say if a person is good or evil, right?
Right, because there's most
I'm sure Hitler was nice to some people in his life, right?
I think there are most people at some point in their life were like making good decisions and saying, being a good person.
Right.
Whatever that might mean, right? But everybody has a bad day, right? And everybody makes a mistake, or everybody
sometimes you lose your temper and you do things that you regret, or say
and you
things.
go down a path that you might not have otherwise chosen if you could just stop and go
sometimes
back.
People get backed in corners and end up in this like sort of survival mindset where it's harder to take their actions as characteristic of their entire character, right?
Yeah, and it's a few times where I've heard this idea of like the trauma-based dissociative stuff, and like, I mean, that's what they were using for like MK Ultra stuff too. Like they were like, and when they were researching how to control people's minds, like this is the type of research they were doing 100%. And our government and the researchers that are, contracted from our government are no different.
Right.
And they've made and done horrible things, just like all these other governments that we talk about in history. But does that make every individual who's underneath that government liable for that? Because we, in a fact,
right? Does it make every taxpayer or voter liable? Like in certain ways,
yes,
maybe,
yeah. And then in a more philosophical way, probably not. But do you take all of that into account if you were to like judge a species, right? So. If we know that we are this way, then it's likely that another society in some other fashion would be similar, unless like it is some sort of like
it just seems like it's oversimplifying to take any other intelligent species and then just before we have detailed interaction with them and ethnographies and sociological studies and deep communication to just call them good or evil, right? Like it seems like an absurd
and especially if they've been around for as long as they've been around and we are still here. So there is some relationship, whether we know it or not, that's been had. If this is if they're here and they've been here for decades, then there is some form of a relationship they have with some people on Earth. There's just no reason why that wouldn't be true.
Right. Or with the society, right?
Yeah.
Even if it's not necessarily individualized.
Even if it is that we're living on a prison planet, that is we're part of some relationship there, and we don't know the greater picture as to why, or like maybe we did something horrible. you know, and as a human race, we did something horrible millennia ago in a different star planet.
But whatever. You could buy an ant farm and you're this so much more bigger, powerful species controlling this other species. And if ants have the ability to have any sort of value judgments, and they were to understand that this entity is doing this to them, putting them in this prison of this ant farm.
Right.
There could be the humans that do it for scientific reasons. There could be the humans that do it
for entertainment
or fun and try and make the lives of the ants as good as possible.
And there could be some that are doing it just to fuck with them.
Yeah, someone might just be like throwing noxious gases in there and seeing how quick they die, and and it's just so early days. Like we don't know if we're an ant farm to another species. We don't know if we are, how many, or what part of that species do the people who are running our ant farm, what do they represent? There's just so many questions. It's just early days.
Yeah, but I'd love to hear some of these answers.
Yeah. Let's check out, there's a Red Panda Koala post. He says, when we make, is this about UFOs? I don't even know. I see a UFO picture. But... Yeah. When we make big statements about China, Iran, or North Korea, it's because we were aware that those places are being manipulated by others and have very advanced technologies now. China, Iran, and North Korea have had UFO crash retrievals and are being manipulated by aliens, per Tom DeLonge's 2016 sources in U.S. space intelligence. Interesting, we're learning about aliens as war with Iran looms. So that's a Tom DeLonge.
Tom DeLonge, I take with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it could lend credence, if that's true, that there could be multiple factions.
Sure.
And there are, I can't remember where it came from or what the source was, but there's some people claiming that they heard somebody close to the president that they believe that Trump had been chosen to bring about the end times and like bring about the resurrection
or the second coming.
Yeah, the next coming of Christ. It's just, but
yeah.
I don't like the framing of religious embedded with this war.
Well, it's just people are putting too much. They're making religion do some heavy lifting that I don't think it's wise to have religion do.
Yeah.
I think religion is a great tool for attempting to become spiritual and communicate with the divine and become a better person. But to try
and use
it to predict the world and what you should do and
how countries should interact.
How we should kill people en masse with war. Like, you're going down the wrong path there.
Absolutely.
Another Red Panda Koala post, he says, Lou Elizondo now claims the 2027 date came from his time at Space Force. This is the first time Lou has claimed this, and it comes after comedian Ian Michael Black blew the whistle on back-channel manipulation of an object coming in 2027. Do you want to watch this clip?
Sure, yeah.
Well, it's 11 minutes, actually.
A little bit.
That's a little long.
Oh, yeah.
I can't stop it. All right.
That was actually Red Panda Koala, and he's kind of, I watched some of that, where he's kind of like talking over the video of Lou, kind of reacting to it live.
What did you pull from it?
Not much, but not much more than even just the words he said about it.
But yeah, so Lou's got the 27 date, Bledsoe's got the 26 date, and then there's something in the 2030s floating around as well. So anyway, I think we're ready for a break here. So why don't we do that, and we'll be back in a moment.
All right, enjoy some music. We'll be right back.
Yeah, I got a date with destiny, but I'm flirting with greatness. Between us, jealousy and hope trying to save us. In love with my dreams, so I sleep with her often. In search of peace and beats to get lost in it. Proceed with caution, this life could be rough. Be your enemy or best friend and switch back up. But I keep my eyes open and my heart on my sleeve. I wear it proudly, that's a part of my steez. And if you ever call, I'll be there in the breeze. Just tell me what it is and I'll give you what you need. And I'll come running just to see you again. If you ever need a friend, just know you can call on me. Now follow me along, don't be alarmed, don't hesitate. This world is ours, make no mistakes, but we don't gotta stay. I wonder would you care at all if I called your name? I know this game ain't fair, but I gotta play. I know it can be so hard, I know it can be so tough. Just cause we're over now, don't mean we had enough. I don't wanna leave you, but I just can't stay. Would you come back to me? Yo, if I call I can hear all the voices in my head and the rhythm that it plays to the beating of my heart and the music that it makes. This position that I'm faced with, choices I must take can either take me higher or lose you by mistake. It's the price I gotta pay for this life that I chase. From this mic and this page to the lights and the stage. And suffice it to say, I'm in love with my dreams. Do I choose it over love or fight for my queen? It's the life of a dreamer and I'm right in between. Whether right or it's wrong, got the right to be me. So tonight let's let it be and pretend I'd never leave you. Treat you as my equal, cause that's how I see you. I need you more so than ever, never before. Let's play it out, since we hit a chord. This instrumental, of course, you're the one. But these drums got me wondering who's still with me when the music stops playing. I know it can be so hard, I know it can be so tough. Just cause we're over now, don't mean we had enough. I don't wanna leave you, but I just can't stay. Would you come back to me? If I called your name, would you feel the same if we switch position? This language that we speak is so strange, yet we play like this flame will never go out. It's my time more than ever, but I can't go now. I can't, but I must, and I'll take the blame for it. I'm lost in the love and I feel the pain for it. It's the same story again, and I'm sorry to say it's part of the game. This heartache and pains, but what's it worth to gain to lose you over the fame? Now would it be the same if I left and came back? Can we be again? I know it feels so cold, but just hold on for a minute. We got a long way to go, this is just the beginning. The pain is just too real without you here. Even though we're apart, you held me down from the start. I know you're always near, I know you're always here. Holding down my heart. I know it can be so hard, I know it can be so
Welcome back.
I love that one. So groovy.
Dude, yeah, it's such a cool song.
I love that one. I had that one on repeat in my car for a while. I was just like, just grooving out.
That's probably my top 2 or 3 songs on the album, I think.
It's good.
It was fun to make.
I bet.
It was just such a cool day, like showing up and everyone, like, we pretty much made the bulk of that song in a single day. And
just did like some
Derek and Sam and Nolan all showed up, and we just kind of came up with a little jam and then like took it, sampled it. So made like the verse part sample from the part that they played that we had just as them during the chorus.
Yeah.
And then, Derek's vocals are just so on point.
They're really good. Yeah, I know.
It was a good time. Good time. All right, so let's go back to our X posts here. So now we got Kelly Chase.
Let me read this one.
Yeah, go for it.
Here's the thing about me. I can't say always say. I can't always say.
Yeah, I can't always say.
I can't always say what I want to say, but I don't lie. I've known that it was Lou and his proxies who have been spreading the 2026, 2027 date for the approach of an alien spacecraft for over a year. I wasn't able to name names because I was given the information in confidence by people who were genuinely distressed and came to me looking for help and advice. I keep confidences, and it's not my place to decide what level of risk is acceptable for another person. I said what I could. But now that Lou has said this himself, it changes the game. And exactly as I've been saying from the beginning, and as Lou seemingly confirms here, alongside the 2026-2027 date, 2036 has also been floated. And the thing is, though, none of this was presented to the people. It was told to as anecdotal or as maybe. It was presented as fact, being shared by a powerful insider who would be in a position to know. This information was spread through proxies who are well known in this community and no friends of Lou's, and known friends of Lou's, who represented themselves as reaching out on Lou's behalf. I'm not naming names at this time because I suspect that different versions of the story may have been going out through different people, and then if I say who it was coming from, it will out my sources. Sorry. All of that said, here are the questions that I've been mulling these last several months. Why was it necessary to reach out to people whose only qualifications seem to be a large platform to share this information? Why was it initially delivered through proxies? And why are there multiple versions of the same story being told by different people? I don't know the answer to these questions, but they trouble me deeply.
Yep. She has a couple follow-up comments in here. I don't know what she's replying to, but she says, yes, that version has been floated too by a lot of the same people. Something about an asteroid hitting Earth between 2033 and 2036. It varies. Sometimes it coincides with the arrival of an alien ship around the same time. And then she's responding to someone else saying, I've seen this also. I'm not sure exactly how it's tied to 2027. In some ways, 2027 has been a catch-all year for some kind of massive event that ranges from cataclysm to contact. But it does seem like the primary source for that date is experiencers and contactees. The 2036 date is far more specific. It's a spaceship that is allegedly already on its way here, moving at half of the speed of light, a bizarre detail that always stands out to me. From what I can tell, the source of that is members of the intelligence community.
That's interesting. Half the speed of light. That's the first time I heard that.
Yeah.
It's a bizarre detail.
I've also heard someone comment that, I can't remember where it was from, but I remember someone commented, I think it's like a layers removed, but whoever I heard was like, yeah, someone said that the 3-body problem was actually one of the best pieces of fiction to read if you want to know what's going on.
Dude, I felt the same way when I watched. I want to read the books because I want to get
the
ahead.
books are great.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to read the books because I want to know the ending. But when you peel away the layers of the show, and for those who've watched the show, from what I've seen, it's a very interesting idea, and I think it's probably true that we may have contacted some beings at some point when we sent out that signal. And maybe they're just moving at the speed they know to move, and maybe they have like an ability to maybe they're immortal, or maybe they're able to freeze themselves and take on that journey from wherever they're coming from.
Yeah, or maybe
these
immigration.
Yeah, like maybe these UFO we're seeing are the ones who can move here quicker at the full speed of light.
Yeah.
And they're here just poking and prodding, and maybe they're able to get here instantly, but they're like moving their whole civilization over in some large spaceship.
That would also explain, like, if they were coming here to live,
or the resources,
type of thing, or for the resources, that would also explain why the message is so consistent about
taking care
how
of
we're
the planet.
taking care of the planet. Yeah.
And they want to be able to come and just conquer us and take all of the resources.
Or they're mostly interested in the resources and the planet. Yeah.
Yeah, and we would just be like unless we were aggressive, we would just be, not be able to do anything about it.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
Unless we're aggressive, and they were just like, all right, they're annoying. Get rid of them.
I also found this from Red Panda Koala. I thought it was pretty interesting. He asked Grok, he says, "Hey Grok, what is the Markovian invasion lore in Scientology belief?" In Scientology, this is Grok's answer. In Scientology's advanced teachings per L. Ron Hubbard's lectures and bulletins, the Markab Confederacy is a vast galactic civilization about 200,000 years old, formed from older empires. It resembles a decayed version of mid-20th century Earth, business suits, fedoras, cars, phones, spaceship, but worse off. They once ruled Earth but lost control via wars. Earth is a prison planet. After death, thetans, or souls, are pulled to Markab, which are implant stations, often Mars-linked, for brainwashing implants and forced reincarnation. Some disputed leaked materials, e.g. alleged OT-8, reference a future mass Markab invader force tied to end times / Antichrist events. No specific 2027 date in core lore.
That sounds a lot like what the interview with the alien person was saying.
Yeah. That's kind of interesting, huh?
I didn't know that that's what like the basis of Scientology's belief.
Well, I don't know about the basis. I mean, L. Ron Hubbard was one of the most prolific science fiction writers who's ever lived. Yeah. So it's hard to say. But he also hung around with the likes of Aleister Crowley and Jack Parsons, who were founding Jet Propulsion Laboratory. And he had some interesting connections. So, maybe it's inspired, right?
Yeah.
Or hard to say.
Yeah.
But I find it interesting that it sort of rhymes with some of these other things that are floating around.
I mean, and that's what you're going to expect when something like this happens, right? You're going to expect people who have half truths or partial knowledge, and they're not seeing what they thought they would see, and they start some sort of cult, or some sort of religion based on however you view it. But and get people to follow you and listen to what you're saying, but you don't necessarily know the whole truth, so you're coming at it with half or partial knowledge of the actual, you're one step in Plato's cave. You're not to the top.
Let's see. We also have this clip from Jesse Michels. Says, why would a UFO use bismuth? It's about electromagnetism. Magnesium bismuth is a high K dielectric. It can store a lot of electromagnetic charge and discharge it fast. Look at the Biefeld-Brown effect idea. Put a high K dielectric between a negative and a positive electrode, and the thrust scales with higher dielectric constant. Key detail, it has ultra thin micron layers, thinner than a human hair. Layered materials like this, including topological insulators, can produce weird large-scale electrical effects when energized. Even aerospace is exploring them. So this is a snippet of a conversation he had with this guy,
Why
Klaus.
do you need a spaceship with magnesium? It doesn't really, it's not very good to travel in.
Oh, I'll tell you why you'd be in a spaceship with magnesium. Because magnesium bismuth is a high K dielectric. So it stores a lot of electromagnetic charge and it discharges it very quickly.
Oh.
And so if you look at like Biefeld-Brown effect, named after Townsend Brown.
Yeah, I know.
And if you put a high K dielectric insulator in between two capacitors, one negative and one positive electrode, the thrust increases dramatically the higher the K, the dielectric.
Oh, okay.
So all of his papers include aluminum, barium, and magnesium bismuth. And bismuth specifically is this big, really important part. But I don't know, maybe magnesium itself has some issues with it. What he found, it was like micron layers thinner than a human hair. And so it was extremely thinly aligned, and I think you get these topological insulators like that where when you excite them, you seem to have electron coherence occur at scale, and you get these very sort of anomalous effects. And you even have aerospace looking into some of these things.
And why do you build a spaceship with magnesium?
Yeah. I watched that whole. That was a good interview. This is the guy that like has like the most UFO like evidence or like.
He's got a big, giant, like offline
library,
UFO library in Sweden.
Yeah,
I believe,
and it's massive. And he's just got tons of stuff, and that's a good conversation. They go at it a bit when they start talking about T. Townsend Brown.
Oh yeah,
because Jesse's really into it, and he's not really a fan of that idea.
Oh, interesting.
So it was good because you see Jesse come out, and he's like, no, he's like. Really intent about.
I put it on and I think I fell asleep watching it, so I wasn't sure where I fell asleep, which is like I don't want to watch the whole thing over, but I think I will actually.
It's good.
I can't wait for the one with Eric and Eric though.
Could we where are we at right here?
We're at an hour and a half now. Why don't we just finish these UFO things and then we'll do some pyramid stuff next week?
Okay.
Or I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know if we have enough pyramid stuff. Do we have enough pyramid stuff for next week?
Well, we'll have that
for a
and
conversation.
Other stuff. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, let's just finish them out. There's only a couple more.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. The last UFO thing I clipped is this here from UAP Juan. I thought this was interesting. So this sort of connects the UFO phenomenon to Epstein and Clinton. Why ask Hillary Clinton about UFOs? There's a reason. And note the date of the letter. A letter between environmental lawyer and Clinton administration friend Henry Diamond and John H. Gibbons, assistant to the president for science and technology, states Lawrence Rockefeller has been discussing a best evidence report on UAP with Hillary Clinton and her staff. Another draft letter shows Rockefeller asked President Clinton to consider a classification review of UAP information. So here's the letter here. It's got a 30 Rockefeller Plaza letterhead on it. November 1st, 1995. Dear Jack, attached R1, a draft letter to the president, which Lawrence has been discussing with Mrs. Clinton and her staff. And 2, a draft report on the best evidence about UFOs. Lawrence thinks that it is perhaps timely to send a report. Although we haven't reviewed it in detail or analyzed it, it is a good source or is a good piece of work. Lawrence would like to discuss these items by telephone, perhaps on Thursday, November 2nd, between 11:30 and 12:30, if this is convenient for you. Sincerely, Henry, signed in absence. Henry L. Diamond. And then below that's Dr. John H. Gibbons, assistant to the president for science and technology. So,
yeah,
the Rockefellers communicating with the Clintons about UFOs.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder if this is just like them trying to get him. So it said that they're trying to get him to draft, or no? What did it say at the end there?
It's timely to send a letter to the president. We think a best evidence report.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
It says best evidence in quotes, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Best evidence. Like that could be like, give him the crap. Give him the fluff.
Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, the Rockefellers go way back, man. I mean, they would be tied into a lot of this. Their money reaches wide.
Totally.
They got a wide net.
Well,
what do you guys think, man?
Yeah. We had a little conversation during the break, too, that I think maybe we could recap a little bit. Drew had asked me, he's like, so
I said, do you have hope that, are you hopeful that the stuff like the 2026 like date is like something big gonna happen, or are
like,
you
do you
more
expect
skeptical?
something to happen on Easter?
Right.
And my sort of like, I've got this idea in my head that all these experiencers over the last, almost 100 years now.
Yeah,
80
decades
years at least. But a lot of the ones who've been interviewed by like John Mack and have this testimony that they received these like downloads and that they don't have full access to the memories of what it is they downloaded.
Like Chris Masters or
Michael Masters is one of them. But a lot of the people interviewed by Mac.
I think even Chris Bledsoe said that they put information in his head on one of the occasions where they took him out of his bed.
So this sort of interpretation I've been floating around about this whole new knowledge thing that Bledsoe is saying is like, what if what's going to happen first, instead of like alien or like UFOs popping up everywhere so they're undeniable? Like if that's the first thing, it's going to be kind of crazy. But what if the first thing that happens is that these, hundreds and thousands or 10,000 people who've been abducted over the years all of a sudden start to have that memory unlocked? Like that set of memories that they thought that downloads that were supposed to be relevant for the future. Well, what if that's that time? And all of a sudden they have access to these detailed reports of what
Memories,
happened
whatever it
during
might
their
be.
experiences, what the message is from the entities. And what if we're flooded with 10,000 highly interesting, incredible, Chris Bledsoe type characters all around. Like they all start popping out kind of at once. That could absolutely represent or be described as a new knowledge.
Yeah, and especially if it happened dramatically in a sense of like they all had the ability to remember right away, and maybe it trickles out for a year or so, a couple years, and where like you get like 3 come out one month, and then you get like 2 come out the next month, and then you get,
Yeah, like if the 26 new knowledge event is this sort of flooding
just
of
a big wave
of people with like consistent and detailed information, and then the 27 style event is maybe more of a like direct, like, hey, look at us, we're here.
Mm-hmm. And then maybe the 2036 is actually when the rest of them show up.
Right. I don't know. That's a version of it.
That's possible. And it's very interesting. I mean, that's a version of it. And that's something that if they are benevolent and they're not looking to cause harm to us, then it could be really cool. But there's a potential.
I mean, if they're going to put an end to the warring nature of our species, then I welcome that. But I'm not looking to just trade in one set of tyrants for another. Right.
If it turns out that they're like some benevolent AI run society and everybody's pretty chill, welcome to Earth.
Yeah. But if it's like coming here for resources or whatnot, then
using us for something,
there's going to be some sort of force or manipulation involved in that, because there's going to be a lot of people here who are not willing to share.
Of course.
So I don't know.
Either way, I'm interested to see what you guys think. If you guys want to email us directly, whatever you guys' thoughts are, host at dualitycheck.net. That's our email address. You guys can drop a comment on any of the, or a rating on any of the podcast platforms like Apple Music and Spotify. And
if you're listening on YouTube, help us with the like and subscribe, because maybe share it to a buddy that you might think that's into this kind of stuff and wants to hear some points of views on some of the relevant details. Hit us up, like, subscribe, share, and then go to our website. It's kind of a one-stop shop for everything related to the podcast. You guys can go to our episodes tab, and it's got a list of everything in order. Our most recent podcast up front. So there's tags and on the side here, and the bigger it means, the more often we talk about it. UFOs are biggest.
Yep. So we go way back, basically to our first episode.
Yeah.
I don't know if there is actually an episode without it in there, without talking about UFOs at some point.
Some of the like secret history stuff, and some of the like designated topic ideas, or like on Amazon or something.
No, for sure.
But have a browse through. We've got a lot of topics in here. And,
Bashar. Well, I forgot about Bashar's. Bashar also predicted 2026, 2027 soft disclosure, where they like slowly trickle in. We'll have to queue one of those up for next time.
Yeah, totally. Okay.
Yeah. But,
we got to have some stuff prepared for the next show. That'll make it more fun.
Yeah. All right. Appreciate y'all hanging out with us, and see you later.
Adios.